guys, welcome to the Talktendo podcast.
Yo!
I am one of two hosts, Christian Petierna, and my co-host here, Bailey Archie.
Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of Talktendo and the first episode of Talktendo Select. So what are we talking about today, Christian?
So as we mentioned in the last episode, Talktendo Selects will be something more free-form that we'll just talk about,
Yeah.
Just some cool stuff, and today we're going to be talking about animation. But before that, we're actually going to recap some news for about 5 minutes.
Yep, so lots of things happened this week, and it would be kind of a crime not to at least mention them. Also, we don't want the next podcast to be even more bloated because we're going to be talking about E3, of course.
Yeah.
So the big news was, well, actually, there's 3 bits of big news. First bit of big news, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu were officially announced. So what do you think about that, just real quick?
What I think about it real quick, I forget if I mentioned in the last podcast, but I'm not too excited about how much Pokemon Go integration there is, but I know why they put it in.
Yeah.
I'm still going to get it, so, I mean, Nintendo's still going to have money from me. I actually do like the Pokemon Pokeball attachment, and that'll be cool to have, I think.
Yeah, I think after seeing the trailer, it kind of makes sense what audience they're going for. They're definitely going for that Pokemon Go audience, especially, like, it's right in the name. And although for hardcore fans it might not be exactly what we want, they also did announce that the mainline Pokemon games are in development. They're just coming in 2019. So that is Pokemon Switch that we've been talking about for so long, the 8th generation. So I'm totally okay with this. Like, yeah. I think I kind of want to go back to the basics, honestly. Like, as a Pokemon fan, it's just gotten a little bit crazy for me, so I'm excited.
Yeah, hopefully the catching's not like what it is, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Hopefully I can change that. So it's
yeah,
like,
we'll have to see, but I wouldn't be surprised if they make you throw it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either.
I don't know, but how does that work when both of the Joy-Cons are attached? Do you just, like, throw the game or the whole Switch? Like, that's kind of scary, but yeah, we'll have to see. But we're going to talk about it a lot more next episode, too. When even more is announced at E3, it'll almost definitely be, so.
Yeah, and the second big piece is Fortnite on Switch.
Yep, Fortnite on Switch has been leaked, and this one is kind of a no-brainer, and honestly, I think they should have had it on there a long time ago.
Yeah, well, that's what happens with the middle generation.
Yeah.
In the midst of it.
Well, I mean, phone got it before
yeah, that's
Switch.
true.
Like, what? And I think for the Switch, it would have been so much better even in the spring when Fortnite really blew up.
Yeah.
Imagine it on college campuses and in high schools. You see somebody playing Fortnite anywhere, like, it's so popular, people would freak, and the Switch would have skyrocketed. So I think almost in a way it missed that sweet spot, but at least we're getting it.
I mean, what I was going to add is that I don't think Fortnite is going to be dying out anytime soon.
That's true.
It's still extremely popular. It does seem it's at like a kind of linear
leveling
point.
off.
Yeah, leveling off. It's not as exponential as it was before, but towards the end of spring semester, there'd be like 5-10 people in my lectures with streaming Ninja and Myth.
Yep.
The popular Fortnite streamers, and now just imagine people are gonna be probably picking up Switches towards the fall and
well, that's the thing.
Playing in class.
One Fortnite bro sees a Nintendo Switch playing Fortnite.
Exactly.
And it is a done deal. Like, I think it'll be a big seller. And yeah, I think it's really good for the system and to bring more people to Nintendo. And for the last bit of news, Fallout 76 was announced by Bethesda. Bethesda Game Studios, by the way, the same one that made Skyrim and Fallout 4. They're working on a new Fallout game, which kind of surprised people. What do you think about that?
As a fan, I was surprised.
Yeah.
My coworker, Dan, shout out Dan, was upset because he's a hardcore Fallout fan, and he just doesn't like the rumors at the moment of it being kind of like a Rust clone.
Yeah.
But, we really don't know much about it still, and we have E3 to look forward to.
Yeah, I think that there are a ton of rumors going around right now, and people are getting already upset about a game that's not even been really talked about yet, which I think is kind of just silly. So we're definitely going to talk about it more when more details are officially announced at E3. It does seem like there's going to be an online component, but I trust Bethesda Game Studios, and the team behind it seems really excited about it. Did you see how they announced it?
No, I just watched the trailer.
They had like a 24-hour live stream. It was a whole bunch of developers, and they were acting like the camera wasn't there, and they were like walking back and forth like with cups of coffee, and like people tuned in. I think there was like thousands of people watching the whole 24-hour live stream, and then at the very end, from what I understand, at the very end they announced the game, like the actual trailer started or something like that.
That's funny.
But yeah, the team seems to be really excited about it, and when a team is excited about a game, I'm excited about a game. Like, it's all about the passion that the developers bring. So
Yeah, I'm excited to see more in the future. I like how they handle like their marketing, and I just like the tone and attitude of Bethesda. But that's really all we have today for news. So let's jump into the meat and potatoes of this podcast.
Right, which is just animation, the first Talktendo Select ever, and we just basically want it to be a conversation, and we're going back and forth about what we wanted to talk about related to animation, and we just settled on animation as a broad topic, which is a very broad topic.
Yeah, extremely.
But we're just going to talk for 40 minutes, and what do you want to start with?
I wanted to ask you some of the first things you started to watch as a kid.
Yeah.
Kind of like kept you loving cartoons into your adolescence.
The first hardcore thing that I probably ever watched was Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I take that back. Maybe it was Pokemon. I think maybe it was early morning Pokemon. I would wake up to watch Pokemon, and actually my dad would record them for me. And I would say Pokemon was the first, because like I watched VeggieTales and I watched the Disney movies, and like, but I would say the first TV show that got me into like animated TV series was definitely Pokemon. What about you?
I would say Pokemon. I'm just trying to think. I had a few VHS tapes of Pokemon, and I would always watch those. I loved watching. I've probably seen the first episode like 20 different times.
Yeah.
SpongeBob. I watched a lot of SpongeBob, like most kids.
Yep.
The first show I remember being one of my favorite cartoons was Ed and Eddie, though. I don't know if you watched that.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting road for me because I had a little more strict parents when it came to TV. I was allowed to watch Pokemon, but really on Cartoon Network I wasn't allowed to watch a whole lot. And it was kind of just like, yeah, we're going to stick with Nick because and even on Nick, I wasn't allowed to watch Timmy Turner. So I basically watched, Fairly Odd Parents. Jeez, obviously didn't watch it. I was allowed to watch Jimmy Neutron. SpongeBob was like a hit or miss thing. Like I kind of made it happen. She tried to outlaw it, but I was like,
your mom.
Yeah, but me and my dad really like SpongeBob. Like there's an old video clip of me jumping on the bed and my dad singing the SpongeBob theme song. Like it was just like ingrained in my soul. So outlawing that one was hard for my mom to do. But yeah, I never watched Ed, Edd and Eddy or any of those shows. But like, tell me about why they were so influential for you.
I ended up falling in love with how, for lack of better words, crazy cartoons were.
Yeah.
And the Ed and Eddy style is so just like out there, and the characters are all distinct and very weird and unique. Like my favorite character is probably Ed, like ED, not double D or Eddie for those fans. But just thinking about, like, one of my favorite episodes is that Ed lives in the basement of his house.
Okay.
And he gets grounded, and they're like, Double D and Eddie go to like visit him, and he's like, guys, like, my parents grounded me, and they're like, why don't you just go up the stairs? And then they walk to go up the stairs, and his parents actually took out his stairs in order to get to the main floor. And that was always funny. But also, besides Ed and Eddie, my favorite cartoon is Looney Tunes.
Nice.
And Looney Tunes is amazing. Chuck Jones has such great direction, or had such great direction with the cartoon and all the characters and whatnot.
Looney Tunes for me was kind of my dad introducing me to, like, oh, this is what I watched as a kid. So that was really cool because he knows all of them by heart. Like he can sing some of the songs, and like what's the one where Bugs Bunny is in like an opera setting and he's like singing to Elmer Fudd, right?
Yeah, that's the one where and he has like his feet on his head and he's giving him a massage.
Yes, yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah, my dad knows that whole thing. So he really loved Looney Tunes. I never got into it as a kid, maybe because I didn't have Boomerang. Were they on Boomerang or were they on Cartoon Network as a kid?
They played Looney Tunes early morning Saturdays.
Okay.
For like an hour block.
So I'm sure
And I had DVDs too.
Yeah, I'm sure I was I'm sure I experienced it as a kid, but I think I experienced it more with my dad showing me what he watched and what he loved. But I definitely loved the Looney Tunes, and I actually really got into the Looney Tunes show, which might be controversial to... What do you think about that?
That's the newer thing, right?
Yeah, it was like 2010 to 2013 era, and they brought it back as like a reboot.
As at first, and I think I speak for most people, just because like with the example of Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go, but I didn't like it at first, and then I started to watch. I'm like, this is pretty good for what it is.
Yeah.
So I've only seen a few episodes, but it's funny, but it's not. It's completely different from the original. So,
yeah, it's like more story based. Like the episodes are longer, and you delve more into the characters. Like it's a constant thing.
Yeah.
Like the thing that I love about the original Looney Tunes is you never know what you're gonna get. No. Every single episode is like wholly unique and wholly separated from every other episode.
It's
but
so good.
With the Looney Tunes show, I think they were trying to connect it more and make it like an actual story. So when you take a show and change it like that, you're definitely going to have people that are just totally against it. And I see what you mean with the Teen Titans Go example. What are some other shows that did that, actually? Because that's kind of interesting. Teen Titans Go did it.
I'm not sure.
I feel like it happens a lot, or it seems Ben 10 has been through lots of iterations. That was one Cartoon Network show I actually was allowed to watch because I had the watch.
Oh, you did?
Oh my god. I was that kid, and like I would run around my backyard and like change into the rock guy or the fire guy, and like, dude, that watch was sweet though. That was sweet.
I might get crucified for this, but I hated Ben 10.
Really?
Yeah, I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think I liked it because I was really into Samurai Jack, and it's kind of like an action-y show with like a kid, and it was one of the only shows I was actually allowed to watch. So of course I got really into it. I also kind of like the original animation style.
Yeah,
I like the more gritty. I don't know. It's not really that gritty, but like the more realistic animation style, and it was one of the more serious shows on Cartoon Network.
Yeah,
but yeah,
true.
Ben 10 has definitely been through lots of changes, and like with each change, I feel like you drop more people. Another one was, what is the show? Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, Powerpuff Girls.
Powerpuff Girls
they did.
got the reboot.
I watched an episode of that. I heard they've been doing some decent bits on there, but
Really?
I really love the original Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah,
And
I watched that one too a little bit when I was a kid.
I heard some hate on it. I think
I heard hate.
They might have been
for sure.
reusing models, like
Oh, really? But the animation style is so different. What do you mean by reusing models?
like reusing what's the word I'm looking for? Like frames, like reusing frames, like a lot, which is a fine.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like
yeah,
it's
as an animation style, it looked cheap.
Yeah,
basically,
like, it's fine if you're gonna reuse frames, but if you're gonna reuse frames a lot, and I get it if they were low on budget, but it's Cartoon Network, so they're not low on budget for.
Are they? Like Teen Titans.
I don't know.
Another show that does that a lot is Teen Titans Go, and it gets a lot of hate for reusing panels and using not static backgrounds, but like moving backgrounds.
Yeah.
You know, like a character will jump and like they'll make a little pose, and then like the background is just a splur of color, which to a lot of people, myself included, just feels cheap. It feels like they could have actually put the background in there and made it look cool. But they wanted to save money, they wanted to make money, and they want to produce as many of these shows as possible.
I think at the time when shows like this, or probably shows in general that are first starting out on Cartoon Network, they probably do a lot of stuff like this
Yeah.
just to see if they want to increase budget or not. But also, Teen Titans Go is what they mostly play on Cartoon Network at this point.
It's kind of it's a little saturated. It's kind of sad to see Cartoon Network I think they're kind of falling off a little bit because they have so many great shows in their tool belt and they're not playing them like ever. And for some of them I can almost see why. Mm-hmm. For Steven Universe, you can almost make the case that it's so story based. Like if you watched one single episode of Steven Universe, like one of the newer ones, you would be lost. You would have no idea what's going on because they are so linear. So it's not a show that is kind to reruns because the first season is. You could play the first season all the time and people would like that because you don't have to know anything about the show. But I can almost see the case for why. But Adventure Time? Why aren't you playing more of that?
I know.
Like, it's crazy.
Also back to the what you were just saying with Steven Universe. That's how I felt with Ben 10 growing up. Like
really, you never knew what was going on?
Yeah, like I felt like I had to put in a lot more effort to keep up with it, and I just didn't have the resources or time as a kid to watch every episode.
That's true. I guess I kind of I don't know, maybe I did keep up with it a little more, or I knew just enough to I do see what you're saying though. There were certain episodes that were definitely story, and if you didn't know what was going on, you were kind of lost. And
that could also be the same issue with Adventure Time. Not in the earlier seasons, because that's more, I don't know if it's the proper word, sitcom-ish, type where you can just sit down and enjoy it. But because later on in the seasons, it gets very, very story heavy.
It does, and it's less story and more introducing a lot of new characters. So the thing about Adventure Time is they introduce. I have this poster of Adventure Time with every character from the show, and it's crazy how many characters they introduce. So if you missed one, it can be hard to, oh, who is that? What is this place? And yeah, I can see what you mean. They just kind of get out of control with how many characters, but that's why I love it.
Yeah. Actually, funny story. I don't know if you were there, but my roommate Matthew, this past school year, for everyone listening, asked to use my Hulu one weekend, and I just put the TV in our living room area, and he binged through every season of Adventure Time. What? And he gave me a synopsis of what happened thus far.
A synopsis? That's crazy. That's funny. Adventure Time has been going on since 2011, right? Or 2010? Something like that.
I think 2010. I remember watching it when it first came out.
Yep, but more about Adventure Time and kind of the Renaissance era that it brought to Nintendo, to Cartoon Network. I think Adventure Time was the start of something new. If you remember before Adventure Time, Cartoon Network was airing things like Destroy, Build, Destroy.
Oh my! And that was the worst.
That was the worst era. I didn't
even tune in at that point.
Yeah, I actually did, but
I was so mad.
Yeah, it got weird there, and then Adventure Time was the holy grail of cartoons that they brought out, and it just blew up, and it brought so much with it.
Yeah.
Regular Show.
There's such a culture.
Gumball.
Yeah, Gumball's good.
Steven Universe. A few years later.
Wait, I just remembered something. I don't know if there's a clip. Everyone go look up this clip, but it's Gumball in the cafeteria, and he's talking to this girl, and he's like, "You need to check your privilege," and the girl flies back. Oh my, I was crying when I saw this.
There are episodes of Gumball that made me cry, laughing so much. It is just such a funny show. It really is.
It is really good.
And you heard it got canceled.
It got canceled?
Yeah, a year ago. They just canceled it. They just up and canceled it. It is weird. These things about Cartoon Network right now that is really concerning because they really are moving more towards, I don't know, the Teen Titan Go's of. But anyway,
I like Teen Titans Go, but I do agree that it's oversaturated on the network.
Yeah.
I know there are some other shows that they they've begun playing that I haven't really checked out. I don't know the names.
Like KO.
Yeah. I think I saw an episode
TKO,
of that
right?
and I liked it. So it's not like I think they're still able to get good shows on.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think they're trying to close out an era
Yeah.
right now because they canceled Gumball. Of course, Adventure Time is ending this summer with the final, like, it's like a 44-minute episode. I'm super pumped. They're closing that out. Of course, closed the regular show out last summer or
Yeah.
last year. So
Miss
all
it.
cartoons should, in my opinion, come to an end
And a good one
at some point.
though.
What was that?
And a good one at least. Like
Yeah, like what, like good cartoons should end, you mean?
no, I mean like on a good note.
Oh, yes, on a good note, yeah. I think it's best when the creator, I mean, there are some shows that kind of lend themselves to longer run times, like SpongeBob. You don't need to end that. But shows like Adventure Time and regular show, and especially Steven Universe, I want them to have the ending that the creators wanted.
Yeah.
Because there are shows, and we'll get into this later with one of my favorite shows, don't have the endings that they need and they just get cut off. And maybe Gumball is one of those, you know, it was just up and canceled. It never got an ending, but I don't know if Gumball needed an ending.
Yeah, I don't know what an ending like that would look like.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's nice to have that ending shot, you know?
Yeah.
Like one of the ones that I always come back to is Avatar: The Last Airbender. That last shot of
Yes.
them standing together. Oh, by the way, so I didn't say who it was, but go watch Avengers or Avatar if you haven't seen it, but no spoilers, but that last shot is just really iconic. So it's nice to have that like tie up. Even Gumball could have done it. Like they could have just zoomed out on the house, you know, like they close the door and it's really like bittersweet, but also really nice to see it come to a nice end, you know?
Yeah, I think shows like I'm not sure I can't remember what the actual term is where like things that happen in an episode don't follow through to the next episode. You know what I'm talking about? Like South Park used to not
Yep.
like used to
Yeah.
do that, but now they follow through with what happens.
I don't
in
know what the
world.
word is for it, but yeah, it's definitely one or the other, I feel.
Yeah, I think shows like that. I think most shows like that kind of just are up and canceled. Like,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Chowder ended like that, and Misadventures of Flapjack.
Yeah.
And things like that. A show that should not have ended like that was Teen Titans, because we have you seen all? You haven't even seen Teen Titans, have
I
you?
feel so
I
bad.
have season 1 and 2
I was
right
literally
here.
looking at those. Yeah, I was looking at those just a few minutes ago, and I was like, "You need to lend me these because
yeah, you can borrow them.
yeah, I need to watch Teen Titans. That's one of the shows that I never got to watch as a kid, and it definitely looks right up my alley. But it wasn't ended. You said
It wasn't ended properly. No,
That
We
stinks.
kind of have like the last episode was a cliffhanger, kind of.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
A cliffhanger that they never ended.
So
What happened? Or not like what happened in the episode, but like how? Why did it just? They just stopped making them?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
they're like, because I think they were showing regularly and then just ended, and a lot had happened. Like,
That's like a sin.
because I think it's safe to say most shows start out kind of like leisurely, like the story driven ones, and
Yeah.
then as we start to get familiar with characters, we go into this,
Oh, yeah,
this
for
deeper
sure.
story,
I agree.
which is proper storytelling if you ask me. But yeah, like we get into this huge like different arcs in Teen Titans, and then we have like I guess basically I don't think this will give it away, but we have some love interest, and then it's kind of like in part with that with two characters, and it's like what I don't know, but everyone who's seen Teen Titans knows what I'm talking about. But what they did with Samurai Jack, I heard they're gonna be doing with Teen Titans, maybe where
where they just have one season to end it.
yeah
Then this is the perfect time for me to get into Teen Titans.
yeah,
Like,
it would be.
definitely need to watch it because I feel like I totally missed out on that show. But let's get into Samurai Jack 2 because it's
Yeah.
another show that ended abruptly without a definite ending. And I think that's a really interesting thing to look at is like shows that got them, like Adventure Time, thank God it's getting one, but like shows that didn't. and that were heartbreaking. I'm a super big Samurai Jack fan, and I haven't really delved into it yet. Maybe I think I mentioned it a few times, but as a kid, Samurai Jack was my show. Like, me and my dad would watch Samurai Jack all the time. I've probably seen every episode, not exaggerating, like 30 or more times.
Yeah, your dad can. It seems
Quote
like he can
it.
just like call out an episode.
Oh yeah,
Because that's what he did when I was over your house.
yeah, we know what episodes are on, like what seasons. Like, we have all the DVDs. I remember walking into Best Buy one day, and I just was perusing, the movies and TV shows, and I walked by season 4. It was in that gold. It's like a goldish yellow DVD case. And I remember, like, my heart kind of, like, stopping for a second, and I knew we didn't have it, and I picked it up, and I ran to my dad. I was like, what is this? Like, we don't have this one. And he was like, we're buying it right now. And, like, it's just such a iconic show, a nostalgic show for me as a kid. But, yeah, it was one of the shows that it was just cut off. Little did I know that season that I was holding in my hands would be the last season of Samurai Jack. So heartbreaking, because that show didn't even end on the last episode of season 4. Is so weird because, well, one, it's just a weird episode, but it has nothing to do with the story, and it's just like
annoying.
it's just like, what? And then it ended, and there might have been certain things that went into that. I know the creator got in with the deal of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. He actually went to that show, which also is a great show. I love the Clone Wars. But also, Miko, I think his name is Miko, the voice of Aku, he actually passed away.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really sad. And I think that might have had something to do with it feeling not right at the time, because that can really put a damper on the whole atmosphere of a studio losing somebody. So anyway, I got off on a tangent there, but it didn't have the ending. But weird. It did in 2017, which was crazy because for years and years I remember looking up like Samurai Jack season 5, Samurai Jack movie, and like there were so many rumors and speculations, and the creator wanted to come back, and like he wanted to finish it out the way he wanted to, and then finally on Adult Swim we got that ending. So hopefully we'll get that ending with Teen Titans.
I hope we do.
Yeah, that would be sweet, because I would love to start the show.
I would definitely buy the complete series.
That would be. Oh yeah.
Did you get a box set?
I got a box set, Blu-ray. Yeah. Samurai Jack.
The Teen Titans one.
I did that because my dad has all the DVDs, and I knew there was no way he was parting with them, so I bought the Blu-ray for myself. I do want to tell one quick story about Samurai Jack that I just think is really funny. Me and my dad were in a talent show for our church. Nice. I might have told you about this. Maybe. He was the host of it. My dad's like a really charismatic guy, and like
I can attest.
Yeah, and he was the host of it, and we were the opening act. And what we did was a Samurai Jack skit from one of our favorite episodes where they are basically discussing how it's season 4, so it's really late in the game. Aku just appears in front of Samurai Jack just randomly in like the beginning of the episode, which does not happen. And of course Samurai Jack like pulls out a sword, and there's this big, and he's like, wait, I just want to talk. And like they just have this talk for like 5 minutes at the beginning of the episode about how they're gonna fight man to man in human form, only fists. And like it's the funniest conversation they ever had in the show, because like they're trying to discuss like even where they're gonna have it, and he's like, I could give you a ride. And like, he's like, I will find it. And it's so funny. So of course we thought it was hilarious, right? And we wanted to do this skit. And I was probably like 6 or 7 at the time. And my dad like made me the garb, and he like made an Aku like head dress thing. Cool. But it's so funny watching the clip now, because we played the clip of the show before we came out and did the skit, so people would have some kind of knowledge of what we were doing. But watching my church congregation watch this episode of Samurai Jack, it's mostly older people, and like it's like a demon talking to a samurai. So funny. But if I can find a clip, I might actually insert it, or in the video version, or maybe like just an audio clip, because I think it's hilarious.
Sure. I can give you a ride. But then I will see you there. What?
It is hilarious.
But
it's so weird to
I
think
was so
of,
nervous.
just watching you guys.
It was so funny. One of my favorite memories from a kid, definitely.
Yeah, you watch Samurai Jack with your dad primarily. I watched Teen Titans with my dad, Justice League. I don't know if you watched Justice League ever.
No, I didn't.
That was kind of hard to keep up with, but I still liked it a lot. My dad would buy the movies whenever one came out, and then the two big ones for me were Dragon Ball Z and The Simpsons. And The Simpsons, have you watched The Simpsons ever?
I've watched it, but I never
So
got super into it.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on The Simpsons. Just anything past probably season 9 or 10 is just kind of. I heard the newer stuff is actually pretty good. They had a very long downhill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now they're kind of going back up. It's just I love The Simpsons so much. Seasons 1 through I have to say 9 or 10, and I would say The Simpsons is one of the biggest influences for just how my comedy is,
Really?
just how I act and whatnot.
It must be good then. Because, yeah, there are definitely so many shows that I should get into. The Simpsons, definitely one of them. I didn't really watch a whole lot of those adult-ish cartoons, especially because my parents were so strict as it was. I couldn't even watch The Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah.
So The Simpsons was definitely off the table.
Growing up, I didn't know The Simpsons was a quote unquote adult-ish show.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to watch.
It seems more in the middle.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch Family Guy I think most kids. And
yeah, I would say that's probably.
I never
for the
even
best.
got into Family Guy.
Do you want to talk about some adult cartoons actually?
Yeah.
We want to. Okay, so I didn't start watching adult cartoons until more recently. I don't know. I never, and even still today, I love Steven Universe. I love Adventure Time. I kind of like the shows that aren't. I like them for different reasons.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty, got really into that a year ago, I guess, and watched season 1 and 2 before season 3.
Yeah.
I love Rick and Morty. I think it's hilarious. The fan base is kind of toxic.
The fan base makes me mad. Oh my gosh.
I know. Pretty crazy that it got renewed for 70 more episodes.
Yeah, that is crazy. It's gonna be it already has its own culture behind it.
Yeah.
We see a lot of that with shows like Adventure Time and movies, even Halloween.
Yeah.
The Nightmare Before Halloween.
It'll be interesting to see if it has...
The Nightmare Before Christmas. I just messed that up 3 times.
No, it'll be interesting to see if Rick and Morty has that downward but then upward slope that a lot of shows take, where it kind of gets bad but then it gets good again. It'll be interesting to see if they can, because even if season 3, we saw the quality of, just the humor in general kind of drop a little bit. I felt like I busted out laughing way more in seasons 1 and 2, and season 3 was kind of let down for me. I don't know if you felt the same way.
It was an alright season. I feel like. I'm happy for Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland, but
yeah, they seem excited to go back. I don't know if you've seen any of the things they've released, but they seem happy to be working on it again.
I think they're really excited. I think they have the good energy to go with it. Also, I don't know if any of the listeners or if you follow Justin Roiland, what he does personally, but he's actually pretty close friends with one of my favorite freelance animators, Zach Hiddell, also known as Psychic Pebbles. And he's on a podcast called Sleepy Cabin. They haven't really released anything lately because kind of everyone who is in this is either in California or Philadelphia or just
doing their own stuff.
Yeah, kind of they all started on Newgrounds and they met through that. And oh my gosh, Zach, he's probably what I would say is one of the funniest human beings.
Yeah.
And he did a short sketch with Justin for what's his name? Oh, Seth Rogen. Yeah, Seth Rogen's new charity special. I showed you that.
Yeah, actually, you did show me that.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
For those
so
of you that don't know, Seth Rogen did a charity special for Alzheimer's and dementia, and you guys should check it out. At least check out the sketch that they did. So it would be cool to see if Zach Hiddell was working with them on Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Maybe writing or doing animation, because
that would be cool.
He really is a talented animator and writer.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got like brought on, you
Yeah.
know, to work on it with him. But some other adult shows, I like Archer a lot.
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes of Archer. Joey, my friend Joey, or our friend Joey,
Yeah.
likes Archer, and Archer's it's pretty alright, I think.
I like Archer for just starting up an episode. Like I've never watched a full season. I just
Yeah.
play an episode and it's funny every time. I don't really have to know too much about the characters, and yeah, I really like that one. Any others for you that stick out?
I got into South Park a few years ago, and there's a lot of episodes I really love of South Park. What I felt with The Simpsons was almost every episode felt unique in that kind of what I would say golden age of seasons. Probably the golden age is like season 1 to 8, most people would say. Every episode just feels really unique, and they end on a good note.
Mm-hmm.
And South Park usually touches on something that is going on in that time right now, but they're also able to I don't know how much South Park you watched.
None.
They do date themselves with a lot of episodes, like what's going on at the time that they touch on, but I feel like they do it in a way that you can also go back and rewatch it and still enjoy the episode.
Yeah.
But I think that's harder now with the latest seasons, how everything from each episode carries through. But also, I think the creators, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, I think they're both really talented, and they're just trying out a different thing with the style. Because I also think it's good as an artist to try out different things. And if you can try out different styles and make it work, like, that says a lot about the artist themselves. So, yeah.
I mean, I definitely need to delve into those, but that sounds really cool, though.
And I just honestly don't like Family Guy, to be honest. There are a lot of funny episodes, I think, but they're probably one of the laziest group of well, I don't even want to say it's animators, because they probably have talented animators, but it's just like how they go about with their budget.
Oh, really?
Because they have huge budgets, but they reuse so many frames and so many backdrops and backgrounds and whatnot.
Yeah, that can be annoying to see, especially when you know
just-
that a show has a lot to go from. That's one thing that I do like about Rick and Morty, I guess, is
Yeah.
it really, the animation style is actually amazing. Like,
Yeah,
I love the
their
animation
animation's
of Rick and Morty. Every background looks like new and fresh, and like they're always changing it up as far as animation. Do you want to get into some art styles? Because I would actually love to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Rick and Morty is one art style that I love for different reasons than I love other art styles. It's like the gritty, more detailed, like you can see like the fine details of people's faces, like their expressions, and the griminess, a lot of like kind of gross animation, but like it all looks amazing in the detail sense. Do you have any other like
The thing I look for specifically when I'm watching a show, like if I'm gonna like analyze their animation, is what the director does with like facial expressions.
Yeah.
Because that's just my favorite thing. Like in Looney Tunes, Chuck Jones is known as like incredible with his facial expressions and the detail he's able to put in some expressions. It's so
like
hilarious.
oh my gosh, I can literally picture Bugs Bunny's face right now, and just how it clenches up and like makes hilarious expressions.
So I mean, I look for stuff like that, or just like delivery, I guess, kind of like with direction of how you want your viewers to feel, or how you're delivering a joke, because it goes farther than just what you're writing if you add in these details. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like with the facial expressions, I feel like some shows do it really well. Kind of like, I don't think any show does it as well as Looney Tunes. I will say, like Looney Tunes was the pioneer, and also that was their big shtick. Like that was the funny thing. But I mean, even going back to Rick and Morty, that face that they make when they're like embarrassed about something and their lips like look like they're down is like, I don't know, like just funny facial expressions like that. It's funny how a facial expression can go such a long way in the delivery of a joke.
I think I do like how the facial expressions that they consistently like kind of use in Rick and Morty. I like that.
Yeah, it's hard to think of other shows that are quite like that, but as far as art styles, I feel like shows have gotten, I would say shows like Chowder and shows like the Flapjack, I like their art styles, but I think that they are less of an artistic expression. But when I look at something like Steven Universe, the way that it's just like they know what they're doing. Like when you see Lion and Steven and Connie riding on Lion across this lake, and it's just beautiful. Like the background is incredibly vivid and colorful. And of course, not every show has to be vivid and colorful, but that's Steven Universe's thing. And the way they use that to create emotion is so amazing. And there are certain things, especially in Steven Universe, where they just do that so well. So I really like how the art style can lend itself to creating emotion. I
haven't seen
Or
a
did
lot.
you?
Yeah, I wanted to mention I haven't really seen a lot of Steven Universe. So
Yeah.
I definitely need to check that, like look into that more now that I have some free time. But what I do really like is, and what I look for in other shows is the colors, like the color way of the show, I guess, for lack of a better term, like the theme, I guess, and just how colors mesh and look and complement each other.
Yeah.
That's something I've always liked.
And also like the style too, like going off of that, like you look at something like Gumball and how it has the real looking backgrounds, but with the animated characters on top of it, like that's hilarious. And also like Chowder, how a character will move. And did you ever notice this? Like a character will move and the background of their hat will also move.
Yeah.
Like it's like a weird thing, but it's like a stylistic
It's something unique, you know?
Yeah, I really like to see unique things in cartoons for sure. Going back to Samurai Jack, I love the panels that they'll put to like enhance the action almost. The art style in that just lends itself to that, and I love that too.
Yeah, it's just like those direction type things that only like a good director could do with like a shot.
Yeah,
It's
there's
something I respect so much.
there's so much we could go into with art styles, and I know we're getting close to our time here.
We're gonna have to do a part 2.
Yeah, we probably are gonna have to do a part 2 at some time. We could literally do a whole podcast on art style, and we're trying to like fit stuff in here right now at the end, but we were trying to keep it to around 45-50 minutes.
Yeah.
So any last remarks on animation before we cut it out here?
It's good.
Yeah.
No, but for real, I did want to mention one last thing. Psychic Pebbles, who was primarily on Newgrounds and YouTube, there's also someone who doesn't animate anymore really as much. Ego Raptor, he's on Game Grumps, which is him and Danny Sexbang from, what is the band? I forget. My bad, guys, but he's in a band and they do Game Grumps together on YouTube, and he was very highly praised for not only his art style but also the colors he used, because he's pretty well known for using these really unique and kind of like neonish colors that really mesh well together. And that's kind of like where I started to look deeper into like colors,
Art style.
yeah. Oh, but I also wanted to say, I know we're kind of like there, but
One more thing.
it is what I also love about cartoons is and just animation in general is how hard, because it is really hard to make something look cartoony and good.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
it's so like to get a unique style is something, and just I think I just respect
It's something
it.
to admire.
I admire it. I respect it so much of an artist or like a few artists to come together and like make this unique new art style for a show.
I love when you sit down and you're watching an animated show, and it's just like it gives you that feeling of almost like your eyes start to water. Like what you're watching is just so amazing that you're like, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And it's such an amazing experience, and that's one of the reasons that I love watching animated TV shows, and especially the ones that I love are usually the ones that have that feeling, that give me that feeling of wow, like what I'm watching, somebody had to put so much effort into, like not somebody, but like a whole team of people put so much effort into creating what I'm watching, and it's beautiful. Like really the animated TV shows
It takes a lot of work.
It's so much time.
Animating is hard.
Like I know what is why am I blanking on his name? Rick and Morty, what's his name? Oh,
Justin Roiland?
no,
Dan Harmon?
Dan Harmon has said like that they write the shows very early. It's
Yeah.
the animation that takes so long for Rick and Morty, and it makes sense with that kind of art style. Again, we're kind of like rambling
Yeah.
on here at the end, but we are definitely going to do a part 2, I think.
Yeah, we have to.
For just the art style, and
We'll get into probably the more animation mechanic, like everything behind.
yeah.
Because we talked a lot about cartoons in our childhood and whatnot. in
Yeah.
this one,
It-
which is fine, but
The whole Talktendo Select idea is really, I mean, Talktendo in general, we're 2 episodes in, we're trying to figure out what we want to create for you guys, and us, like Talktendo Selects definitely goes right into that. This is our first one, so we're trying to we started off with the broad idea of animation.
Yeah.
And we had no idea where it was going to take us. We just wanted to have a conversation. And obviously we ended up talking only about TV shows. And we had even talked about, oh, maybe we'll get into Pixar, maybe we'll get into Disney,
Yeah.
like maybe we'll get into 3D animation. There is so much here that we love and that we could definitely talk about in future episodes.
I could talk forever about Pixar.
Oh my
Dude.
gosh.
And Ed Cat. All right, we're going on too long.
It'll definitely come in future Talktendo Selects, and we'll definitely
Yeah.
get the mechanics of a Talktendo Select down,
Yeah.
for you. Again, this is the first one, but we hope you did enjoy it. And the next episode of Talktendo will be a regular Talktendo where we're going to be delving into E3, which is happening a week from now, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
from
next
now.
week, and that's going to be a really fun episode. Who knows what's going to happen, but thank you so much for tuning in to this first ever Talktendo Select.
Thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Yep, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.